Hi everyone, I'm here in San Francisco for just 24 hours and zooming through the day. I'm here today with Eric Lamison-White. White.
Like the color.
White, who is a co-founder of Pareto Network.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about Pareto Network and your upcoming ICO?
Yeah, so actually our pre-sale is ongoing right now, but Pareto Network is a financial intelligence platform. Basically, we're able to incentivize the creation and sharing of actionable financial information. We believe this is very different than how financial information, like useful, valuable financial information, and that's objective, is not really able to be shared. People keep it to themselves, they try to trade on it themselves, or not share it at all, and it's just not helping the markets in any way. Our platform is able to provide a clear monetization path for those people, as well as get that useful information for the investors in our network.
Yeah, I mean, we talked briefly about the unreliable information that's out there, because in many ways we're looking at ICOs as analogous to the dot-com boom, where everyone's just slapping on ICOs to potential business arenas where it's not even necessary, and there's not really a lot of people who are asking the question, like, is this even necessary to raise? And right now we're just wading through Bitcoin talk, through white papers of varying degrees of sophistication and objectivity, and it's just so hard to figure out how to build that coherent story that's available and understandable to the general public. So how are you guys dealing with that?
Right, so first, we would not be able to do this particular business model without a blockchain and without the token issuance on the blockchain. We use the blockchain for accounting purposes, and we use it for our incentive model. And I can go more into that when we really dive into how the Pareto Network does change those incentives for our various types of users. But at the same time, about other things in the crypto markets, our network's supposed to really help with that. Basically, people with the foresight and acumen to really evaluate these things will have a way to monetize in our network without taking risks in trading an ICO themselves. They'll just simply be able to tell other people the information, and for a variety of reasons, people on our network will retroactively reward them if that information is valuable.
For the audience who, I think a lot of people might not even know what an ICO is, so it's initial coin offering. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, yeah. It's a colloquialism based off the initial public offering, IPO, word that you see in the stock market and the equity space. ICO just kind of takes that to another level, because you're using these coins or these tokens to do the same thing. And that has that's a loaded term coming from the stock market. So these are also called token sales, or just pre-sales if you're selling a product like we are that happens to use a blockchain.
Yeah, got it. What do you think about the barriers of entry for people who want to get involved but don't know how to take the first step?
That's an area of improvement, definitely in the crypto space. So a lot of steps, it's a little convoluted right now, but the opportunities which will come from just easier to use technology infrastructure, like when you get trendy designers like Apple providing infrastructure in the crypto space, they'll be able to onboard a lot of people. But at that point, and even now, if you are able to jump through those hoops, the societal, socioeconomic barrier of entry is actually a lot lower than the traditional financial system, let alone the elite venture capital and private equity space, where a lot of people just can't raise capital for different reasons. In the cryptocurrency space and the token cell economy, those barriers are mostly gone.
Yeah, I mean, that's the space where I work in, where it's venture capital, and obviously 94% of investors are men, making it objectively harder for women to raise, and there's that level of bias that is just really hard to overcome, that crypto has the ability to really level the playing field by removing that bias and giving more minority and female entrepreneurs the ability to raise money quickly.
That's right, and that's really exciting for a lot of people. I mean, even amongst the sliver of the population that's able to really tap into these venture capital networks, you have the general population, let alone what has traditionally been called the unbanked. And people look at the bankers look at the unbanked as victims, but these people will be able to completely leapfrog their system into a more egalitarian economy that's growing very quickly.
How did you first get involved?
Sure, yeah. So cryptocurrency pretty much falls into the, it's more like if you looked at a Venn diagram of my various interests over time, cryptocurrency is right in the center. I'm a computer scientist by education, a software engineer by trade, engineering manager, etc. And I also have some background in trading and the financial regulation. I actually used to work for the FDIC, the federal government. And so cryptocurrency emerged as an alternative that uses a lot of programming, and I was like, okay, well that's great. I can deal with that. I was first exposed to it in 2011, and I spent maybe 2 years researching because the information was even worse then. So it took me a really long time to be comfortable with the concept and just go through the mental hoops necessary to understand it. So 2011, 2013, I mean, at this point, I guess that makes me a veteran, half a decade or more in the space.
Yeah. So now as you're going forward and you're marketing Pareto Network, how are you getting people involved in it? You know, what's that process been like?
Yeah, so primarily we're fulfilling a market need, and it's just getting our story out there. There's a lot of cryptocurrency investors like very active in the space, and there's a lot of immaturity in the market. So people pretty much get married to a cryptocurrency they like, and anyone that says something contrary to that must be a shill for or an advertisement for another competing cryptocurrency. And so that really perpetuates misallocation of capital, and people are waking up to the idea that they don't have the information they need to objectively evaluate a competing currency until it's, you know, trading for 1,000% more than it was a few months ago. And so if they were just able to look at one piece of information and not really get caught up on what the messenger's ulterior motive was, then the capital will move across the industry to things that have a better use case or solve a real world problem a lot faster.
Because a lot of these communities are gathering on Slack or in Telegraph, and it's like it's in their interest to hype it up.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So when another team's hyping their thing up, you just don't want to believe anything they say, because that would probably hurt the currency you're so married and invested to. When really you should be able to see objectively where you want to be and when to be there. And so our network provides an incentive model. Think of a Pareto as like in the Pareto Network, everyone knows they're earning Pareto in one way or another for providing the information or not. So like in our network, the only information that's valuable is information that benefits the most number of people the quickest. So self-serving information isn't very valuable in our network, and it just simply won't be rewarded. But that kind of can reduce Pareto to a universal ulterior motive that no one finds controversial.
Got it. So I come from an angle of helping close the funding gap for female entrepreneurs specifically, and just I see crypto as this potential for another massive gender gap if women aren't getting involved, because currently less than 2% of the people involved in the crypto space are women. And there's a number of reasons for that. Number one, there's the obvious gender gap in tech itself, which is well documented. Number two is the actual underrepresentation of women in the financial industry already. And number three is just this general notion of women being more risk averse when it comes to dealing with money. So how do you look at Pareto Network's ability to potentially close the funding gap or even bring more information to people who might not normally have that access?
So there's a couple ways I can really jump into that. So like I've seen people look at the Pareto Network and think about information they just wish was there. And I've heard all sorts of things. One person said they wish they could see cap tables in the Pareto Network. They wish people would just start sharing and disclosing cap tables of companies they were working with. And that could at least start helping show, like, when in earlier stage companies, like, how they're doing on that front. I mean, these would be statistics that just simply aren't known at this point in time because cap tables aren't shared. So that's one way you could help. So, for example, you could come in with different guidance, or replacing boards faster, or recommending boards faster that would promote female involvement, female entrepreneurs as the either founders, co-founders, or C-level positions in these companies if you knew that their cap table currently excluded them. Aside from that, the Pareto Network can help make the idea of volatile crypto investments less risky if people seemed like they felt like they had more information. So going to the idea that female traders are not doing that kind of investment, which I would challenge, but I don't really have anything to back it up. Just various anecdotes, but I think there's room to expand the investment pool, definitely into the audience you're thinking of.
Yeah, great. So what's next for you guys?
What's next for us guys?
Yeah.
Just rolling out the network. So we already have like a few thousand users ready to go, and we're launching the network soon. It's intended to coincide with us actually releasing the Pareto tokens that people have been pre-purchasing. We've got a couple of things lined up in the pipeline. Can't really talk about it just yet, but we have great content contributors that are already adding information to our network. They have actionable information, things in our network that hit the market before the rest of the market knows. And yeah, I don't know, just onward and upwards.
Awesome.
That's the general idea.
So how do people get involved? How do they get in touch with you?
Yes, sure. So you can find out more about what we're doing at pareto.network. That's the website. So it's just pareto.network. Try to have a trendy TLD, trendy domain name. And all the information's there. And you can chat with us in our various chat rooms on Telegram. And that is linked there. And also by email, also linked there. So it's a mailing list. Yeah, it's just this is the nexus of everything we're doing.
Cool. Well, thanks so much. And next week on Thursday, I'll be hosting at Noya House in New York City a Bitcoin 101 for female leaders who are interested in getting involved. This will be Thursday morning at 9 a.m. So if you are interested, head over to www.sheworks.com. Put your name into the mailing list, and we'll be able to send out more information about that event next week. Thanks so much.